Straight up. Watching Christians United Broadcasting Network. CUBN, where we want to see you be encouraged in Jesus' name.
Not be clean and not provide for himself or for his family. In verse 25, smite a scorner and the simple will beware. So if you have a scorner, you guys that know me from my Facebook wall know that when somebody comes to scorn and scoff and mock, I thrash them. I smite them. Okay, smite them. So it's a smite a scorner, and the simple will beware. So that means those who are watching the interaction as I'm thrashing someone who comes to mock and scoff, and then booting them out, they will see, if they were thinking about doing that, they will see and go, well, maybe I don't want to do that. And it says, and reprove one that hath understanding. So if you have someone who has understanding and you can explain things to them, it says, and he will understand knowledge. Yeah. So those who have understanding, that God has given them understanding of a matter that you're discussing with them, then that person will understand and gain knowledge from it. In verse 26, he that wasteth his father and chaseth away his mother is a son that causeth shame and bringeth reproach. Now, a father has a specific duty to a son, but he doesn't always fulfill, okay? But hang in there. Anyway, help them as they helped you when you were kids. And chaseth away his mother. A mother can be, annoying because she's trying to tell you what she believes is the right thing. And it says he's a son that causeth shame and bringeth reproach. Yeah. And that's wreakage, isn't it? Hi, Angela. Hi, Lewis. Welcome. Hi, Carol. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Dwayne. How you doing? Hi, Steve. I know. Let's see. Hi, Horace. Andrea. I think that's all of you, though. There's a whole bunch of you. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he that wasteth his father and chaseth away his mother is a son that causeth shame and bringeth reproach. In verse 27, cease, my son, thank you, my love, to hear the instruction that causeth to err from the words of knowledge. Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causes you to err. There is instruction out there that is wrong, messed up. Avoid it. Instruction that causeth to err from the words of knowledge. Don't listen to anybody who does not respect the word of God and love it, okay? If they don't love the word of God and respect it, they're going to distort it when they're handing it to you. So don't listen to them. In verse 28, you have to love God or you're never going to understand a word of it. In verse 28, an ungodly witness, oh, you sweetie. An ungodly witness scorneth judgment. An ungodly witness doesn't want for judgment, righteous judgment to take place. They try to thwart it. And the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity.
Yeah.
The mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity. It's just constant iniquity, taking it in, taking it in, taking it in. In verse 29, judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. You don't want to be.
What are you with now? The grasshopper, Bella?
Judgments are prepared for scorners. You don't want to scorn at the word of God or
Hey,
Saki. Chill out, okay? Judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools. You want to come here and say hi to your dad? He's watching the show. Come here.
Hi, Daddy.
You want to wave at him? This is my grandson, Matthew. Are you waving at your dad?
Hi.
He's watching. Okay. Now we'll watch and see if he says anything to you, okay? I'll tell you if he does. In verse 29, judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools. You do not want to be a scorner or a fool.
No.
It sounds like it could be physically very painful for you. Did you see my flowers that I put in there, my love? See? I keep them all when you give them to me because they're precious to my heart.
All of them.
They're all in here. All of
They're all
them.
flat.
They're all in here. All the ones that you gave me are in here.
But the flowers are flat.
Yeah, they're flat now, but they'll be in here forever, won't they? Here,
Yeah.
let me show you. See? See that flower? That will stay forever. I got a whole bunch of them in here somewhere, don't I? I think I've got some back here too. Let me see. Where are my flowers? We'll find them later, okay? Oh, I just saw one, didn't you? No. Okay, I got to get back to my Bible study, okay, baby? Okay. Where are we?
Hey, there's another cup.
Oh, we finished Proverbs chapter 19. Awesome. Give me 5.
There's another cup.
Throw it in the trash, my love. That's not the trash. Okay, we got done with Proverbs chapter 19. Now, let's go over to... Oh, here's some of my other flowers. Look, Maddie.
They're in there.
Yeah, my
gosh.
Those are the flowers that you gave me. I saved them. Hey, are you messing with my hair?
I just feel that your hair
Yeah,
is soft.
is it soft?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
very soft.
Now let's go over to Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel is right after Ezekiel. Okay? Now we are in Daniel chapter let's see. Where are we? Daniel. We are in Daniel chapter 11 and verse 39. Okay? Hi, Guillermo. Hi, Casey. Hi, Amanda. How are you doing?
Hi.
Okay. Thus shall he do in the... Okay, we are starting at Daniel 11:39. Okay? And we're going to look at some of this timing. I know you guys love that. I do too. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. This is the Antichrist of prophecy, who this is discussing. Okay, in verse 38, we talked about how he honors the God of forces, military force. Okay, the Jesuits are the military arm of the Catholic Church, and he's a Jesuit. Okay, this Pope is a Jesuit for the first time. I mean, a Jesuit is never the white Pope; they're always the black Pope. Okay, but you've got a Jesuit who qualifies more as a black pope than a white pope, and he's in the spot. He's wearing the dress, all right?
Yeah.
He's wearing the tent, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Now, I know, I wear a tent too. Not that kind. Where's my water?
I like it too.
You need a drink too?
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Hey, everybody can see you. So, mind your manners. Okay, in verse 39,
Blah, blah, blah.
thus shall he do, let me start at 38. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. This is our end-time Antichrist, Pope Francis. And a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. You are killing me. Matthew,
Sasha, no.
Matthew, please don't make her do that, okay? I know you think it's funny and cool, but I have to do my study here, okay? Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God. See, Pope Francis does what he calls spiritual exercises. When he does these spiritual exercises, he claims to see a luminous serpent, kind of like Ignatius Loyola, who founded the Jesuit order, and Adam Weishaupt, who was a, I think that's his name, Weishaupt, yes,
Yeah.
German. He was a Jesuit, okay, and he founded the Illuminati. So if you wonder where all of the bad stuff traces back to, the Jesuits. Ignatius Loyola, they're the Satanists, they're the Luciferians, they are the Jesuits. And they serve the Pope. They don't serve God, and they murder in his name and think that's okay.
Hi, guys.
Hey, you need to be still while I'm doing the study.
Okay.
Or go do something else, all right? Now, it says here, thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. That's this luminous serpent, see? And he shall cause them to rule over many. The Catholics already are running Jerusalem. It's just ridiculous. That's the first thing I noticed when I went to Jerusalem, was that the Catholics are running the place. And shall divide the land for gain. They are going to gain like crazy by dividing the land. It's wreakage, okay? Hi, Bill. Hi, Bruce. In verse 40, and at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. Now notice, you've got Egypt, Hosni Mubarak went down. Iraq, Libya, okay? And they've been working on Syria for about 7 years. Night, Tina. I love you too, Carrie. Okay. Now, watch this. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom. Now, that's Palestinians. Edom and Moab. That's Jordanians and Palestinians. Hi, Tammy. And the chief of the children of Ammon. Okay. Now, these are the sons of Lot. Okay. These are Palestinians and Jordanians. And most Palestinians did used to have Jordanian citizenship. And the king of Jordan yanked it back from him in order to put pressure on Israel to accept them on their right of return. In verse 42, he shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. See, Hosni Mubarak came down. He was one, like the first one. And then you had Assad. I mean, not Assad. You had Hussein, Saddam Hussein. He may have been first, and then Egypt. But then you had Gaddafi in Libya, and now they're working on Assad in Syria. In verse 43, but he shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver. See, the Vatican has got all of the world's resources and assets. The Vatican is just ridiculously rich. You think they're helping the poor with what you give to them? No. They're making weapons and starting wars, okay? That's why they're guilty of adultery. See you, Tammy. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. Did you know that the ancient pharaonic, as in pharaonic treasures, there is a whole heck of a lot of Egypt's treasures in the Vatican archives. All right? And it says, over all the precious things of Egypt and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. So the Libyans and the Ethiopians are going to follow this pope. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Once this pope is running the second half, he's running Jerusalem. Tidings out of the east and the north, you're talking about Russia and China, okay, shall trouble him. Because Russia and China is not going to sit back while the Vatican, which has the EU behind it, takes control of the world's energy resources in the Middle East. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make away many. So this Pope is going to it actually says destroy wonderfully, okay? He's going to destroy the nations and the countries there by deporting their people. You're seeing that every day now with all these immigrants going everywhere else. They're emptying the Middle East and sending the people everywhere else so they can take it over, okay? Now it says here, it's all about control of the world's energy resources, okay? In verse 45, and he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. So he's going to set himself on the throne in the new temple, defiling it, set up an image of the beast. There's an overspreading of abominations that happen here. Yet he shall come to his end. Oh, he's coming to his end. His end is the lake of fire, and none shall help him. And one thing I wanted you to notice about verse 38, it's talking about the God of forces, and it also has or munitions, weapons, okay? God of weapons. Now, let's go into Daniel chapter 12, and this is where we get a lot of our timing, okay? This is cool. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble. That's the second half of the 7 years. Jacob's trouble, such as never was since there was a nation of Israel. Excuse me. Even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Hey, are you doing bubbles, honey? Hey, let me know when you hear Jakey, okay? And I'll go get him. In verse 2. Now, wait, let's focus on verse 1 here. Notice, at that time. Now, what time? The sixth seal opens, and you have war in heaven.
Whoa, look at this big bubble.
Oh, cool. Awesome, Troy. Hi, Judy. And now, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. This is the tribulation period he's talking about. And specifically the second half, which is specifically for the Jews. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered. Now that's thy people. Every one that shall be found written in the book. Now notice, the sixth seal opens. Michael stands up. Hold your place right there. Go over to Revelation chapter 12. And notice, right here you have this, the star alignment appears, which it appeared last September 23rd of 2017. Okay, that's fulfilled prophecy already. 12:1. All right. Then you have then it takes you through the opening of the sixth seal.
Yeah.
Hi, Nancy. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Hi, Tad. Now, it takes you through the sixth seal from the star alignment last September through the sixth seal, and then you see in verse 7 you have the war in heaven, and it says Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out. Now that's where that happens. You have the star alignment, the sixth seal opens, then you have war in heaven, Satan is cast down. Okay, so now back over here to Daniel in verse 1. So this is where, this is the same timing as Revelation 12. Okay, so as the war in heaven starts and Satan is cast down, it says at that time, this is before Satan's cast down, at that time shall Michael stand up, what we just read, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. He stands for the Jews. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was. Just a moment, my love.
Hey.
Sorry. I thought you wanted me to blow it. Are you going to blow me a bubble? Okay. Don't blow bubbles at me, though. I don't want to get all soapy and sticky, okay? And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation of Israel, okay? Even to that same time. So from the time there, from the very beginning there was a nation of Israel, even to now, it's going to be worse than ever before in the history of the world. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered. Hear that? Every one that shall be found written in the book. Now, if you are written in the book, and no decision can get you written in that book, you're either born with the temple inside you and written in the book, or you're born of evil and no temple inside of you, and you're not written in the book, okay? So, at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Those are all the ones with the temple inside them at their physical birth. In verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. See, this is the regeneration when he appears. Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Now, we know that these two resurrections are separated by a millennium. Now, you have many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall wake. You have the regeneration. Hi, Karen. Hi, JB. Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. This is the regeneration. This is when in September. If this is our evacuation, if the sixth seal does open July 27th in like 10 days, I'm Mrs. Wiggins here. It's all aligned. It could. I mean, I'm not saying it will, because I'm an analyst. I study. I'm not a psychic, or a prophet, but I'm a researcher, and that's what it looks like. And I've been saying that for several years now, that 2018 is the year. 2019 doesn't qualify. 2020 doesn't qualify. None of the years after this qualify. So I don't know what to tell you. Either I, don't know what I'm talking about, or we're fixing to witness some really cool things in the world. I don't know how. Not everyone will interpret them that way, but you know what I'm saying, right? In verse 2, many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. That's the regeneration of the dead in Christ. And that happens right at our evacuation. They're regenerated, and we who are alive and remain are evacuated, okay? So you have those to everlasting life, and then you have, at the end of the millennium, you have some who are, all of those at the end of the millennium, actually, are awakened to shame and everlasting contempt. Hi, Jan. It's wreckage for them, okay? And and you say, well, what about the Jews who are beheaded? Well, they are regenerated immediately upon their deaths, all right? In verse 3, and they that be wise, that hopefully is you that are studying the word, shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. That's cool, isn't it? And they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. So the book is sealed until a specific event in time unseals it. Karen says, Lisa, after the reapers take us out, how will there still be so many left to be caught up? I don't concede that the reapers are going to take me out. I hope I'll still be alive but even if we die, okay? Even if we die, we're going to be regenerated, so we'll be alive even if we die, okay? We're all going to see this. We're all going to, you're going to be caught up even if let's say the reapers are cast down, right? And they kill you. In that 6-week window before Jesus shows up. When he shows up, you'll be regenerated, okay? If you don't die, you'll be evacuated and then brought back, still alive, to finish living your life out on the earth after the destruction. But she says, after the reapers take us out, how will there still be so many left to be caught up? I don't know how many are going to be caught up. I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that the numbers that are caught up include both the living and those who are regenerated back to life. Because when you're regenerated, you're back like we are now, okay? Except you're immortal and you can never die again. You're still flesh when you're regenerated, okay? So you have immortal flesh. That'll be cool, won't it? Immortal flesh. Yay. That would be great. It is awesome, isn't it? I don't know how many are going to still... It says those who are alive and remain, which implies that many, many die before the evacuation. And I know that's not, that's not good news. But in verse 4 it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. It is time itself that has sealed the book. An event in time would take place 2,000 years later, almost 2,000 years later, that would unseal the information. It says, seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro. Hey, I'm talking here. No yelling. Even to the time of the end, okay? And it says in the end, that's when it would be unsealed, see. Many shall run to and fro. That is international travel. That is you going down. That's you traveling 25, 50 miles in your car and coming back. That's trains, automobiles, planes, space shuttles. I mean, that's monorail. It's everything. It's every form of transportation out there. Many shall run to and fro. That's widespread travel. And knowledge shall be increased. I mean, even I've been clear to the other side of the world. I backpacked Europe when I was young. I and just went to Israel like three years ago, okay? And I was able to, I mean, even me, nobody, I was able to fly all the way over to the other side of the world and visit Jerusalem and then fly all the way back. What a trip, huh? It says, and knowledge shall be increased. That's the internet, okay? You can find out anything you want to know on the internet. It's amazing. In verse 5, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. So he's talking about angels here, okay? He says, he sees them. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half, 3.5 years. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So see, you've got your Antichrist coming in. He defiles the temple. The remnant flees to Petra, where God protects them. The rest of those that don't flee, they die refusing the mark, okay? So it says he scatters the power of the holy people. He not only scatters them, but he scatters not just the people, but he scatters the power of the holy people. Okay, so they're not running Israel anymore. They're not running things. He's running things. The EU is actually in control of Israel. The EU superstate, which is the revived Roman Empire. What'd you say, Nancy? Sis, I missed part of your message. Would you please tell me what Bible chapters and verses to speaking on? Yes, right now we are in Daniel. Excuse me, it's dusty out here. We're in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 7. This is a very cool study. And it's right where we are in this timing too. It's, his timing is always impeccable. Get off me, fly, you're bugging. Okay, so let's look at this again. I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven. Hi, Jimmy. It says here, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. That's 3.5 years. Time, times, and a half. So you've got 3.5 years. That is the Jews part, okay? And that is the second half of the tribulation period, the 7-year tribulation. That's the second half. That is referred to as Jacob's trouble. Okay? It is also referred to as the great and terrible day of the Lord, all right? This 3.5 years is because Jesus shows up before that second half starts. And he's here. Hi, Chanel. Love your name. That's so pretty. It says here, once it says, it shall be for a time, times, and a half. That's 3.5 years. Hey. I'm doing a Bible study here, my loves. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, the power, all these things shall be finished. So see, that 3.5 years, that wraps it up. Okay? And we are approaching the midpoint rapidly, if I am correct about my timeline. In verse 8, and I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? So he says he hears these things, but he doesn't understand them. Okay? Daniel does not have the benefit of technology that we do to understand these things. We know that when he's saying, many shall run to and fro, that he's talking about advanced forms of travel. And when he says knowledge shall be increased, he's talking about the internet, computers, the accessibility of information. Anything you want to know, you can look it up on the internet. What, my love? Lily, get in the house. Get her in the house, please. Here, let me do it. Just 1 second. Come here, Lily. Get in the house. What are you thinking? Get over there. Turkey. Did she go in that other yard?
Yeah.
Silly dog. Okay. Now. I'm sorry. I've been sick. I'm still on my antibiotic. Got a sinus and bronchial thing going on here. Okay. Is she over there too? Where is she? Hang on. Saki. Saki, get over here right now. Get back over here. Get your little chihuahua tail end over here. Come on. Get back in the house. Turkey bird. Get in the house. Go in. Thank you. Squeakage. Those dogs staying in the fence. Okay. All right, now we're in Daniel 12. This wind is... All right. Now, notice that Daniel does not understand, okay? In verse 8 of Daniel chapter 12, he says, and I... Sorry about that. It's a gee thing. Hi, Heath. Okay, let's see what I'm doing here. You know, it's a gee life. What can I say? Now, so Daniel in verse 8, he doesn't understand. He says, I heard, but I understood not. And Daniel doesn't have a clue what technology is. That's why he's describing. He says, many shall run to and fro. He doesn't know what international, what advanced forms of travel are. And knowledge shall be increased. He doesn't understand the internet, okay? But that's his way. We understand that that's what he's saying, though, don't we? Because the book is unsealed and we can understand it. When nobody did before the event came that started the time clock again, which was Israel recapturing Jerusalem. Hi, Sandra. Sandy's my cousin. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? For those of you that are just joining us, we are in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 8. We just wrapped up verse 8. Daniel doesn't understand this technology and all of this. So he's saying, what shall be the end of these things? What's going to happen? In verse 9, and he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. So for from the time here, 3,500 years from Daniel, the words are sealed and it's all closed up. It says in verse 10, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. See, the wicked are designed, programmed to do wickedly. That is what they're created for. The word says that they are vessels fitted for destruction. Keep your place right there and go over to Romans chapter 9. And let me point something out to you here. Notice in verse 21, hath not the potter power over the clay, of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? He's saying there are vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. That means they are specifically created to accomplish a purpose, and then they are destroyed. Programming would be my guess. He says, what if God, willing to show his wrath, see, he shows us his wrath on them. They aren't real. They're just programming. He doesn't pour it out on his own children. He's demonstrating on them. And isn't it interesting that the root of, look at the very root word of demonstrate, and you see demon. Okay? Demonstrate. Okay? These are vessels that are created to accomplish a certain purpose, and then they are destroyed. They are, they fulfill their part, and then they're destroyed. Now, notice here. These are in Romans 9:22. What if God, willing to show his wrath? See, he needs to show us so we can, he wants to demonstrate for us so we can understand what he's capable of and how powerful he is. That's our security, to knowing that he's the biggest and the strongest, okay? And to make his power known. He's wanting to demonstrate, so we know. Endured with much long suffering, the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. So that's what he's doing. He endures with much, he just puts up with what they do. Do you ever wonder why God doesn't deal with wickedness and when it's really, really wicked? He endures with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy. Those are those who are born with the temple inside us, which he had afore prepared unto glory. That means before you ever were born, you were destined to be born with the temple of God inside you. He's saying, which he afore prepared unto glory. We knew him before we came here, and he knew us. Okay. The word says in 2 Timothy, we have this seal that the Lord knows those that are his. Hi, Andrew. So it says here, we have vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, created to serve a purpose and then be destroyed. And then we have vessels of mercy, which were prepared before we ever came here unto glory. So you're born saved or born not saved, okay? With no temple inside you. You must have the temple inside you. You must be born again. That's what Jesus was saying when he said, you must be born again. Born with the temple of God inside you. Isn't that amazing? Now, let's go back over to chapter 12 of Daniel. And we were talking about the wicked. In verse 10, many shall be purified and made white and tried. Now, the children of God, that's us, okay? We're purified and made white and tried. Our sufferings are accomplishing that in us, okay? He says, but the wicked shall do wickedly. You can't change, a leopard can't change its spots. Hi, Danya. I miss you, girl. The wicked shall do wickedly. They can't do anything else. That's what they're designed to do. Hey, Danya, we are in, hi, Darla. If you just joined us, we are in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 10. So it says, none of the wicked shall understand. They're clueless. They don't think, they don't think about this stuff because God doesn't give it to them to do so. Okay? So it says, the wicked shall do wickedly, and that's what they're supposed to do. And none of the wicked shall understand. They're clueless. They're not going to understand anything. Love you, Danya. But the wise shall understand. Okay? Those who are studying the word, loving the king, obeying his commands, you will understand, okay? And we do, don't we? And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. That's to the end of the 7-year tribulation period, okay? And then because see, you have the sacrifices and oblations. The daily sacrifices and oblations are ceased 30 days prior to the defiling of the temple. Okay? So that's from the beginning of the Jews, 1,335 days, starts right there when the sacrifices and oblations cease. And then 30 days later, you've got the temple defiled. And then 1,260 days later, you have the end of the trib. And then 45 days later, you have the descending of the New Jerusalem. So, he says here in verse 12, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 days. So, he's saying that if you make it and you're still alive here at the 1,335 day mark, that's a blessing to you. Okay, he's talking to the Jews in this. It's wreakage if we are still here at that point. Gentiles. Okay, we go out before that. But go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days. So Daniel never did really fully understand these things, but we do, because the Lord has unsealed the information. Now, let's go through Daniel's equation, all right? Now, and the timing. Now, that it tells us in chapter 9 that there are 70 weeks of years. 1 week of years is 7 years, okay? And, well, wait. I need a break first. Okay, hi, Joan. I'm glad you're here, sister. I don't know how long we've been doing this. Let's see. What time is it? Seriously? I've been going for like an hour and a half without a break? No wonder my throat's killing me. Okay. I'm going to, I'm going to mute my microphone if I can figure it out. And, or I'm going to just walk away or something, I guess. And I'm going to take a break. I'll let you guys look at the sky. Okay. And I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. Okay. Already downed one of these. Oh, my throat's so dry. Okay. Now that we talked about, hey, no yelling. I'm yelling to say no yelling. Well, that wasn't a yell. But no crying, no yelling. What should we look at now? Okay. For those of you, I'm just trying to think of where we should go now. My king, what would you have us to do? Let's go to Zechariah. Actually, let's go to Joel. It's just, Hosea's right after Daniel. And then after Hosea is Joel. Yes, my love. Let's go over to Joel. Now, this is talking about, right after Daniel. Hi, Brett. Hi, Henry. Hi, Nicholas. Great to see you guys. Okay. Now, let's start in the book of Joel. After we finished up Daniel. And that's what I was doing. I was going over Daniel's equation with you. Okay, let's do that. 70, back up to Daniel 9, starting at 24, and let's go through this. I'm going to show you Daniel's equation and show you why I think it's a good possibility, not a certainty, okay, but a good possibility that the sixth seal could open on July 27th in like 10 days. I'll show you why. Let's look at Daniel's equation. 70 weeks of years. Each week of years is 7 years, for a total of 490 prophetic years, okay? Then it says that these 490 prophetic years are to do the 7 things that it says in Daniel 9:24, which is these 70 weeks are for the people and for the holy city together, all right? To finish the transgression, make an end of sins, make reconciliation for iniquity, bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. That's 7 things. And then it says in verse 25, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, that was given by Cyrus of Persia, unto Messiah the Prince, until he returns, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. After 69 weeks, it's after 69 weeks he returns. But it doesn't say at the beginning of the 70th week. He comes at the middle of the 70th week, which is almost where we are right now. Now, from the decree from Cyrus, it says, you've got 69 weeks until the end. The street shall be built again and the wall even in troublous times. Hi, Bo. Hi, Cindy. Now, it is saying, we are, Bo, we are in Daniel 9, 24 and 25 right now. Daniel 9, 25, actually. So, it says that from the decree to when Messiah shows up, there's 69 weeks, okay? Now, And it doesn't say right at the beginning of the 70th week, because the rest of the scriptures show us that he comes at the midpoint of that 7 years. And then the Jews endure the Day of Atonement, which is 3.5 years. Okay? So in verse 26, it says, after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. So after 62 weeks, or 434 years, Messiah is cut off. He's crucified, but not for himself, for us. Okay? So at 434 year mark, Messiah was crucified and the clock paused and the Jews were scattered. Okay? Then after that, it says, and the people of the prince that shall come. The prince that shall come is the end time Antichrist. Okay? The people of the prince that shall come, that's the Romans. And the Antichrist, end time Antichrist, is a Roman. Pope Francis was raised in Argentina, but he's born to 2 Roman-born parents. He's a Roman, and he speaks Latin. He doesn't speak Spanish. Okay? He speaks Italian and also Latin. It says here that the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. So what that's saying is that the Romans are going to destroy the second temple here and the city. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. Now, what this is telling us is that there is 8 weeks or 56 years of 360 days each, or 20,160 days remaining to be fulfilled once the sign appears that restarts the clock. And the sign is the recapture of Jerusalem by the Jews. This happened in June 1967. So we take June 7th, the day in the middle of the 6-day war. We take June 7th, 1967, and we add 20,160 days, the time remaining on the prophetic clock. And that takes us to August 17th, 2022. That would be when the New Jerusalem descends. Okay? Now, there's 45 days between the end of the tribulation period and when the New Jerusalem descends of restoration. So you back up by 45 days, and that means the end of the tribulation period is July 3rd, 2022. Then you back up 1,260 days, the whole second half, 3.5 years of 360 days each, okay? Back up to 3.5 years, 1,260 days precisely, and that brings us to January 20th, 2019. Well, the final blood moon of the series of 7 shows up the very next day. So that means our timing is probably very close, all right? If not right on target. So the final blood moon of the 7 shows up the very next day on January 21st, 2019. So we're at January 20th for the abomination of desolation. And then you back up 30 days and you find out where the Jews' final 1,335 days from Daniel 12 begins, right there where the sacrifices and oblations cease, and that would be December 21st, 2018. Then you back up from there to the nearest Feast of Trumpets for the evacuation of the Gentiles, and that is September 10th or 11th, 2018. And then you back up to the 6th blood moon in the series of 7, and you find your 6th seal, and that would be July 27th, 2018. Now, that's Daniel's equation. So if July 27th comes and goes, and there is no great earthquake, and there is no sun turning dark during the day over here in the West, that's how you're going to know if the seal's opened. If it is actually opened, then there's a great earthquake, and it could either be global or it could be regional in the Middle East. But a great earthquake means it's a big one. Okay. If there's a great earthquake, and if the sun turns dark in the west, when the moon turns to blood in Israel on the 27th, then we know for sure that the sixth seal has opened, and then we know for sure that Jesus is coming within the next 6 weeks after that. Okay? We don't know the day or the hour that he's going to show up. We can know when the sixth seal opens, and we can know when our evacuation takes place. But that doesn't mean that we know the day or the hour of his arrival. That would depend on when Satan is cast down. You have the war in heaven, then Satan is cast down, and there wouldn't be any reason for Jesus to delay his return after Satan is cast down. I think before he even can get organized or anything, Jesus shows up in the sky and evacuates the saints, okay, and all of the children. This is going to be really exciting in the next 10 days to find out if that's how it happens. I don't know if it will or not. These flies are really bugging me. I don't know if that's how it will happen or not. Let's see. Oh, this thing is asking me. Hi, Nina. Hi, Asher. Oh, it's Timothy. Timothy, welcome. Okay. So that's Daniel's equation. And if the sixth seal doesn't open in 10 days on the 27th of July, then it's back to the drawing board. My solution to Daniel's equation has failed if the sixth seal doesn't open on the 27th, and that means it's back to the drawing board again. But I can tell you that I've been saying 2018 is the year for several years now, because I have been following and documenting the opening of the seals since 2013, when the Antichrist got his crown. Turn to Revelation chapter 6. Now, I want you to take a look at the first seal, and I want to show you that it's been open since 2013. In verse 1 of Revelation chapter 6, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse. I just think funny things sometimes. The snake in a dress. I can picture him as a white horse. With a tent on him. And he that sat on him had a bow. This means that he conquers through peace and diplomacy. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm still sick, guys. I'm taking my antibiotic, but... Okay. Have you ever seen the big white Pope limo? Maybe that's the white horse that John's talking about here. I can't help but crack up at him. He that sat on him had a bow. So he has a bow but no arrows. He conquers through peace and diplomacy. And a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now notice, the first seal opens when he gets his crown and goes forth to conquer. In the second half, when the first seal comes to its full fulfillment, he's already conquered, and he's running the world the second half. He's running the world the second half. And you're thinking, well, how? Well, when Jesus shows up in the sky, everybody's going to go, wow, the Christians were right. And who are they going to turn to? The snake in a dress. All right? The righteous are going to turn to Jesus himself. But the wicked are going to turn to who they think the Lord's representative here on earth is. So they won't turn to Jesus himself, see? They'll turn to the Pope, the snake in a dress. And that's how that's going to turn out. But it says here, a crown was given unto him. He's already received his crown. He received his crown and went forth conquering and to conquer in 2013. Now, when he takes over for the second half, he's not getting a crown that he doesn't already have. He has a crown already. He's a king of his own sovereign nation. All right? So he's already got his crown. The first seal opened in 2013. And then let's look at the rest of them, and I'll show you how I've been documenting these as over the years. And when he opened the second seal, this is verse 3 of Revelation chapter 6. When he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Now notice, in 2014, the map was unbelievable. When you looked at the chart that showed how many nations were at peace and how many were in some kind of war, civil war, revolution, skirmish, conflict, whatever. There were only 10 nations out of 196 that were at peace. It's incredible. So, as we can see, the second seal, it says, power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Prior to that, the world is at peace pretty much. But from that point in 2014, the world is not at peace anymore. And that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So, as you know, many have died since this seal was opened. There have been, especially in the Middle East, where the scriptures are centered at, Christians have been dying at an incredible rate over there, and we're going to get to that shortly. But they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. This is a lot of power, and this is weapons that are going to kill the ultimate fulfillment of this seal is nuclear war. Okay? That is a great sword right there. Okay? In verse 5, and when he had opened the third seal, this would be 2015. This was the year of the Shemitah. This is when we started having food shortages and economic distress. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So what this is telling us, for the third seal, you have the Shemitah year. And you have food shortages and economic distress. The ultimate fulfillment in the second half of this seal is global famine and economic collapse. Okay? Now, remember, the first one is open when he got his crown, but it reaches its full it's a horseman, so it's progressive. So once the first one reaches its full fulfillment, early in the second half, you have a satanically empowered Antichrist who has conquered, and he is running things. He's the head of the New World Order. Leave me alone, stupid flies, in Jesus' name. You're bugging. Now, so the first seal, it's been open since 2013, but its ultimate fulfillment comes early in the second half with a satanically empowered Antichrist. Then, the second one peace has been taken from the earth. And the ultimate fulfillment of that is the Gog-Magog. It's probably going to go nuclear. These flies are really bugging me. Okay, and then you have, and the ultimate fulfillment of the second seal is going to be nuclear war, Gog-Magog. Then you have the third seal, and that one opened in 2015, and that one brought food shortages and economic distress. But the ultimate fulfillment of that seal is global famine and economic meltdown and collapse. Then in verse 7 of Revelation 6, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Now, let's look at this. In 2016, this is when the fourth seal opened, and you began having all kinds of deaths. I mean, more deaths than at any other time in history. And, of course, that you could say, well, our population's bigger, so of course you're going to have more deaths. But these were deaths that were specifically from war, hunger, pestilences like Ebola, West Nile, tuberculosis is back. All of these horrible diseases are being released into the world and affecting and killing so many. And then it also says here, the beasts of the earth. In Genesis, God put a dread on the animal kingdom to where they, let me get you the scripture, to where animals, feared man and didn't bother people, okay? But that dread that God placed on them is being retracted with this seal. And then you started hearing more and more about animal attacks in 2016. Mountain lions and all kinds of animal attacks where you hadn't really heard of many in several years. Or, usually not, you don't usually have a lot of animal attacks. But we started having a lot of them after the seal opened in 2016. And you had more deaths than at any other year in all of recorded history. And so, in any single day, put it that way, or in any single year. And that's even including years with wars and things like that. So that's huge. And then if you look in verse 9, and when he had opened the fifth seal, this one opened in 2017. I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. You started having more and more slaughters of Christians in 2017. This is the year of the martyrs. And that will continue there will be more and more deaths continuing all the way through the end. And they will be mostly Jewish deaths. They'll all be Jewish deaths in the second half because the Gentiles won't be here. All of the Gentile children of God are going to be evacuated. It says, blindness in part has happened unto Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. If you look up fullness in the dictionary, it means filled to capacity. Okay, so all of the Gentiles are going to be evacuated, and then all that will be here in the second half is the Jews and the tares and the wicked. God is going to remove all of Israel's support, and so they have no other choice but to get to know their God again. And that is why they end up signing the agreement with hell, the revived Roman Empire, because they know it's an agreement with hell. And it's not an agreement with the EU. It's an agreement with hell. You've got a satanically empowered Antichrist sitting on the throne of the earth, basically, head of the New World Order. And so this is an agreement with hell, not just another treaty with another nation. So Satan is here when this agreement is signed, and it is an agreement with a satanically empowered New World Order. And that's going to really be a bummer for them. And then in verse 9, and when he had opened, we did the fifth seal. And the fifth seal, 2017, you were looking at more believers' deaths than ever in recorded history, once again. And also, they calculated that one believer was dying around the clock every 6 minutes in 2017. Now, in verse 10, and they cried a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? So, this is first half. Because, see, second half, more believers are dying. Okay? In 11, look, and white robes were given unto every one of them. This is the martyrs get their robes when we get ours, when we're evacuated, hopefully in September, if the sixth seal opens July 27th. Maybe it won't, but if it does, then you know what to expect after. White robes were given unto every one of them. That's at our evacuation. See, they're regenerated, these martyrs. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season. And that's what we're told too. Until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. So see, this seal opens before the second half slaughter. So this is first half, okay, slaughter. And then in verse 12, I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. And lo, there was a great earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Did you know that July 27th, there's some really interesting things going on? For one, all 9 planets in our solar system are all going to be on the right side of the sun for the first time in recorded history. Secondly, you've got comet sighting spring passing by. And do you know that it is large enough that it could block out the sun as it passes? This is so cool. Don't you love Bible prophecy? I do. It's possible. It is possible. But we'll just have to wait and see if the sun turns dark on the 27th. I'm on pins and needles, waiting to see if it does. It might. Okay, it might. I've been doing this for 35 years, so I could be right. Okay, and maybe I'm not, but I could be. So be watching on that day. If the sun turns dark and there's a great quake, that's it, and the sixth seal is open. All right, and if that happens, we'll talk about a whole lot of things once that seal opens. Okay, because we're going to be able to tell you some things for sure if that sixth seal opens on the 27th. Now, maybe it won't, but it's the best possibility I've ever seen. Everything is aligned, and I'll tell you this, everything is perfectly aligned for that seal to open. And I can tell you this, 2018 is the only year that qualifies. I've disqualified 2019, 2020, 2021, and 20 years out beyond there. I've disqualified all those years. So it's this year or I've missed it, okay? So we'll see. But I won't ever quit watching. If it's not this year, I'll go. I mean, if it doesn't happen in 10 days and the sixth seal doesn't open, then it would have to open in January. That's the last blood moon. So we're going to find out soon, okay? But then, you see, now let's go into the sixth seal, and you see, the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell into the earth. See, that is Satan and his 1/3 being cast down. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, how many is 1/3? Well, Jesus said he had access to 12 legions of angels. And that means that 1/3 would be 6 legions. He's got 6, Jesus has 12, okay? So, the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she's shaken of a mighty wind. That kind of means all at once, not just one here and one there, but you're looking at a whole bunch of them falling at one time. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it's rolled together. This is when Jesus shows up in power and great glory. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. That is a global quake, okay? Every mountain and island moved out of their places. Now, I don't know if a global quake on the 27th or not, but I know that when Jesus shows up in the sky, that's what you got. And then once he's in the sky, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, that's everybody, guys, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Now, why would you hide yourself in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains if you have just had a global earthquake? That's the last thing you would want to do. Well, you've got Satan and between... Well, I didn't finish my thought, did I? Jesus has 12 legions. Satan has 6. It's between 3,000 and 5,000 in a legion. So we're looking at anywhere between 18,000 and 30,000 evil angels being cast down when Satan's cast down. And they will be enforcing the New World Order. Okay? They are here. They are the reapers. They are going to mark the tares, and they're going to harvest the wheat. Now, don't freak out too much that that a lot of us are probably going to die. Because if you're meant to live into the millennium, you'll live. If you are meant to be regenerated for the millennium, then you will, of course, die and be harvested. But you'll be regenerated. You're not going to be dead long, okay? You'll be dead, a couple weeks max, and then you'll be back. So don't fret if dying is in his plan for you, because it looks like a whole lot will. One angel has been known to wipe out about 180,000 people in a single day. Just one angel. Hi, Kim. And, that's pretty intimidating. I think that's one of the reasons why the word says men's hearts will fail them for fear. Because when Satan is cast down along with between 18 to 30,000 of his evil angels, that, I would say that man's perception would be that of an alien invasion when this occurs. That would be my guess. I mean, what else are you going to think when all these things show up in the sky? Anything that shows up in the sky is an alien invasion, okay? That's our perception of it anyway. But see, you don't want to be underground right after an earthquake, a global earthquake. So why are they underground? It tells us. So they are hiding underground, everybody. I think the reason they are hiding is because the evacuation has taken place. We have been caught up, and possibly in ships, okay? But they are scared out of their wits. I don't know. They do know it's Jesus. Everybody knows it's him once he shows up in the sky, okay? It says, they said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us. What are they hiding from? The face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. They are hiding from Jesus, okay? They can see his face. They can see him sitting on his throne. I don't know whether you can see it by looking up in the sky, or if they are using satellites to see it, or what, binoculars or what, but they can see his face. It says, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. They know they are in deep, deep trouble. They have been left here. These are those who are left here after the evacuation. All right, that's why they're hiding underground, because we've been evacuated, and they think that we're being kidnapped by aliens. All the children are gone. The world has totally changed at that point. It's not the same world that you and I know today. It's going to be totally different. But it says here, they are hiding from the wrath of the Lamb. The wrath has arrived. It says in verse 17, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Well, how can I've been asked several times, because there are those out there who believe that the sixth seal events come at the very end. No. His wrath is the trumpet judgments and vial judgments. So his wrath has to show up at the end of the seals. The seals, the seventh seal releases the seven trumpets, and the seven trumpets fill up the whole second half except for like 30 days of vial judgments. Okay? So, the wrath is the trumpet judgments, not the seals. Okay? Although the sixth seal, Satan is cast down, and that is the instrument of God's wrath. They are the reapers. Okay? And then that's when the wrath shows up. So the sixth seal events cannot possibly come at the end. It's absolutely impossible. It cannot happen, because the seventh seal has to open after the sixth, obviously, and then that is what releases the seven trumpet judgments. So if the sixth seal was at the very end, where the trumpets and vials fit? So it doesn't work. The timing doesn't work. The sixth seal is at the midpoint, or just before the midpoint. That's when Satan's cast down, because Satan is in control the whole second half. Okay? He's in control the entire second half. Does anybody have any questions? I'll be glad to try to answer your questions if you have them. I have no idea what time it is or anything. Let's see. We got about 45 minutes left. I haven't seen any questions thus far. Let me make sure that I don't have any. I don't think I have any. If you guys have any questions, I will be very happy to answer them for you. Okay. Now, if you have a question, just reply in the comments under the live video, and it should scroll up on my screen, okay? That's how I know you're here. I'm broadcasting from my phone, believe it or not. I got my computer wet. Oh, it's reekage. And it was so cool, too. It was really such a cool computer. And I got it wet. Dang it. So, I'm out of luck there. I'm broadcasting from my phone, so sorry, it's a little different. And I don't have, my studio, so I don't have all my green screen technology and all of that with me, so CUBN can broadcast me with your CNN studio look. I don't have that with me, so sorry, guys. I'm probably driving the network crazy. Being gone and seeing I'm going to be here another week now. I'm not going to be leaving until next Tuesday. I was supposed to leave today, but I can't leave until next Tuesday now. I got exposed to a childhood illness that my grandkids broke out with, and my daughter. Oh my gosh, my poor daughter. She's covered head to toe. It's a childhood illness. I don't know how she ended up with it. But anyway, I've been exposed, and since my immune system has been compromised by this bronchial and sinus thing, I am not symptomatic at all, but I just want to make sure I don't bring this back to my mom and dad and my other family in Oklahoma and anyone else. So I'm going to be staying one more week, and then I'll come back next Tuesday, and I'll be, I'll have like less than an hour from the time my plane lands to when the show starts, or maybe a little bit more than an hour. So I'll try to be on by 6 Central next Tuesday, but we might be a half hour late, but we'll do a show. Okay, we'll do a show next Tuesday after I get home, and home from the airport. Okay. Now, I don't see any questions right now, so let's go back over to the book of Joel. It is Daniel. We wrapped up Daniel. Then after that's Hosea, and then Joel is right after Hosea. Now we're going to go through this book. Some of it. This is only 3 chapters. I've got a ton of notes here on this. These flies are crawling on my back, drive me crazy. Lord, have mercy, please, in Jesus' name. All right. Let's look at the book of Joel in chapter 1. This is talking about the dark day of the Lord. So we're gonna look and see what we can glean from this book here. The book of Joel, chapter 1. The word of the Lord that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Before I do that, I've got to tell you something that's on my mind. I have told you who the Antichrist is. He is the only man on the planet who qualifies for the position. His name is Pope Francis the Pope. He's the only one that qualifies, and he is the one. He is fulfilling prophecy like the Energizer Bunny. Now, the false prophet, we've also identified him. His name is Rabbi Baruch Kahane. He is the high priest of the Israeli Sanhedrin, a position last held in AD 66. Okay? He's the one. All prophets, true or false, are Jews. If they are not Jews, they're not true prophets. They don't qualify to be prophets, But what can I say? The false prophet is Rabbi Baruch Kahane. Remember when we had all these videos coming out telling you that the false prophet or the Antichrist was Baruch, and they thought that was Barak. Okay, No, it's Baruch. Okay, that is his actual name, Baruch Kahane. Okay, isn't that amazing? But see, they thought that meant Barack Obama. See, and it doesn't. See how one thing can just snowball until people think something that isn't true? Let's go ahead and get into Joel. Joel chapter 1, verse 2. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Now, when he says that, keep in mind, the seeing eye and the hearing ear, the Lord hath made both of them. Let me show you. It's Proverbs 20:12, I believe, for those of you that want to look that up. So you don't see and you don't hear and you don't understand unless God decides you will. Okay? He has, you know, all the scriptures that say, he who hath an ear, let him hear. Well, he has to give you a hearing ear and a seeing eye, or you won't have it. Okay? So he's saying, hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. So you'll listen if you have an ear to hear. That means you're born with the temple inside you, and God is willing to teach you. He says, hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. Now, Joel, he is, let's see, let me find out when the book of Joel was written here. My other Bible tells me when was the book of Joel written. Let's see, 9th century BC, particularly particularly in the reign of Joash, a position especially popular among 19th century scholars, making Joel one of the earliest writing prophets. Early 8th century BC, during the reign of Uzziah, contemporary with Hosea, Amos, and Jonah. So during the time when Hosea, Amos, and Jonah were in the world and getting messages from God, so was Joel. Okay? Let's keep going. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation, which is something we're going to have to do as we go into the millennium. We'll have to tell our children and their children about how things were when evil was in the world. In verse 4, that which the palmer worm hath left, hath the locust eaten. That which the locust hath left, hath the cankerworm eaten. That which the cankerworm hath left, hath the caterpillar eaten. So everything is being chipped away, the knowledge of God in the earth. Awake, ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. The new wine is, yea, it is the best. It's also talking about the law of Moses in comparison to the new covenant in the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ. So he says, it is cut off from your mouth, for a nation is come up upon my land, strong and without number. This is Muslims, okay? Whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he hath the cheek teeth of a great lion. Now, this is not just Muslims, but this is Western nations who have come in there and repatriated all of the Muslims into all of these other countries, okay? So you have threats from Muslims outside, like Turkey, Libya, Ethiopia, and the stands, right? But the West is the lion, okay? And it says, so he's talking about, a nation has come up upon my land, strong, without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he hath the cheek teeth of a great lion. So you're looking at Muslims that are backed by the West. The West is, and the EU, which is included in the West, along with the, usually the EU, is who is giving all these, in the U.S., in days past, have given, what they have done is they have purposed to start a war in the Middle East. They have armed Israel to the hilt. And then they have come and instigated the Muslims in secret. Are you going to let them take over your lands? Are you, like the devil on their shoulder, and giving them weapons and giving them training, and also they're trying to get a war started between the Muslims and the Jews, and they're doing a pretty darn good job of it at this point, because the West, I would say the revived Roman Empire, the EU superstate when it comes into existence soon, is okay. I just totally lost my train of thought. You've got the EU superstate that is going to be entering the agreement with hell, with Israel, okay? It says, he hath laid my vine waste and barked my fig tree. So what he has done, what this snake does, is he, okay, we're talking about a nation here. He hath laid my vine waste. The Jews don't even know their God anymore, okay? They don't know him. They need to get to know him again. Hi, David. He hath laid my vine waste and barked my fig tree. The fig tree is Israel. So these Muslims are just eating away at the Jewish nation in the end time. He hath made it clean bare and cast it away. See, in the second half, the Jews have had to flee, or they are under occupation of the EU with Satan at the top and his Antichrist Pope on the throne in the temple. Okay? So it says, he's laid my vine waste, barked my fig tree. That's, fig tree is Israel. He hath made it clean bare and cast it away. So Israel no longer exists as a nation. Jerusalem, it's not Israel that is running Israel or Jerusalem during the second half. The branches thereof are made white. So they don't know their God. They don't have their land. They're running for their life. It's a bad time for them. Lament like a virgin girded with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. See, they will mourn for him as for a firstborn. That's why they lament. And it says in Matthew 24:29 and 30, I think it's 30, that all the tribes mourn when they see Jesus in the sky. Because they're like, oh, wow, the Christians were right. And the wicked turned to the Pope snake. You know why? Because, well, all of them actually initially turned to him. But the real ones, the children of God among the Jews, okay, they recognize that he's a fake as soon as he defiles the temple. And they will flee. The remnant will flee. And 2/3 will die refusing the mark. Okay? So they are lamenting like a virgin, girded with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. This is Jesus. They're mourning. It says they will mourn for him as for a firstborn. In verse 9, the meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of the Lord. The temple is defiled. The priests, the Lord's ministers, mourn. This is when they freak out. The Jews flee. The temple's defiled. The field is wasted. The land mourneth. Did you know from the moment of the evacuation of the Gentiles, there is not a breath of wind and not a drop of rain that's going to be on the earth the entire second half. From that point, not a drop of rain. From the time of the evacuation of the children of the Gentiles, not a breath of wind and not a drop of rain after that. And everything goes real bad, real fast at that point. So it says, the field is wasted, the land mourneth, for the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried up. See, without any rain, there is no more new wine. The oil languisheth, and the new wine is also talking about the gospel message, okay? The new wine is dried up. The oil languisheth. The Spirit of the Lord is with his people, but he's not real active in them because they don't know him. Be ye ashamed, O ye husbandmen, keepers of the oracles of God, the Jews. Howl, O ye vine dressers, for the wheat and for the barley, because the harvest of the field is perished. No more food. The vine is dried up, the fig tree languisheth. The fig tree is Israel. So it's saying Jesus is the vine, okay? So Jesus kind of holds back. He's pouring out judgments on the wicked and the tares. But it says the vine is dried up and the fig tree languisheth. The God of Israel is here, but he's not intervening on their part during this time right here. The pomegranate tree, the palm tree also, and the apple tree, even all the trees of the field are withered, because joy is withered away from the sons of men. Hi, Mal. Hi, Jerry. Welcome. We are in the book of Joel, if you're just joining us, chapter 1. And we are at the end of verse 12. Because joy is withered away from the sons of men. Joy is, there is no joy without the King of Kings, okay? And so Israel is in mourning. This is the day of atonement for them that they're fulfilling. In verse 13, gird yourselves and lament, ye priests. Howl, ye ministers of the altar. Come, lie all night in sackcloth, ye ministers of my God. For the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of your God. This is a lament from the temple. This is how they freak out when the temple's defiled. When the Antichrist, when the sacrifices and oblations cease, it says, for the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of the Lord. This is when the sacrifices and oblations cease. December, okay? Sanctify ye a fast, possibly September. I mean, according to Daniel's equation, it would be December 21st, 2018, when the sacrifices and oblations cease. But I don't expect to, get it right on the head. I think I'm in the ballpark somewhere. Sanctify ye a fast, call a solemn assembly. Now, notice this. There is no temple right now. The Jews mourn for their temple every year on the 9th of Av. Now get this in verse 14. Sanctify ye a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of the Lord your God, and cry unto the Lord. So they come, they sanctify a fast. See, after the evacuation, they sanctify a fast. They call a solemn assembly. They gather the elders. They gather all the inhabitants of the land. And they build the temple and into the house of the Lord your God, and cry unto the Lord. So now they're back to the Old Testament. And they are crying unto the Lord, the Jewish people. In verse 15, alas for the day of the Lord is at hand. This is where the day of the Lord begins. The day of the Lord's second half. And as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. And that is second coming. Okay? Is not the meat cut off before our eyes? See, that's when the sacrifices and oblations cease. Yea, joy and gladness from the house of our God. The temple is defiled. The seed is rotten under their clods. The garners are laid desolate. The barns are broken down, for the corn is withered. There is an overspreading of abominations involved here. How do the beasts groan? The herds of cattle are perplexed because they have no pasture. See, not a drop of rain, not a breath of wind the entire second half. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate. Those are the Jews, as well as actual sheep. In verse 19, O Lord, to thee will I cry, for the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness. See, you've got the first trumpet is fire, and it burns up all of the green grass and 1/3 of the trees. So it says, O Lord, to thee will I cry, for the fire, first trumpet judgment, hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame hath burned all the trees of the field. First trumpet. The beasts of the field cry also unto thee, for the rivers of waters are dried up, and the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness. So there's your first trumpet judgment. Blow ye the trumpet. Well, let me see what time it is here. Oh, it's 6:30. Before we go into chapter 2, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, and we'll try this again tomorrow. We'll go into chapter 2. That's an hour I've been going now without taking another break. I just get on a roll, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. But tomorrow, same time, same channel, we're going to get into Joel chapter 2, and we'll continue our study from there, okay? I love you guys. God bless you. Hang in there. Hang in there. We're gonna go through this together, and we'll be watching to see if the sixth seal opens when we think it's possible that it could. My throat's starting to get scratchy, so I'm gonna wrap up. I love you guys. God bless you, and should the Lord tarry, we'll see you hopefully tomorrow, here, there, or in the air. God bless you. Love you guys.
Straight up.